Hello everyone, I just want to make this quick video to discuss the best practices for applying for a TN management consultant visa. So let's briefly talk about this story and then we can draw some lessons from it. Hi, I have an MBA degree from India and over 8 years of experience in management consulting in India and 6 years banking experience in Canada. I recently received an offer from a US-based consulting firm, but the TN was rejected at the border for reasons including more specific job description, degree needs to be evaluated by NACES approved evaluator, role was managerial and wouldn't qualify under management consulting, and supporting documentation required to evaluate previous experience in consulting. The support letter provided by the employers was deemed inept. Trying to understand what should be my next steps, should I urge the employer to take I-129 route, or should I go back to the same port of entry with updated documentation? So the first step when applying for a TN visa in management consulting is you have to make sure that your job actually qualifies. So you could be the best management consultant on earth. You could have received awards. You could have spent 20 years as a management consultant. But if the job you're applying for is not actually a management consultant role, you don't have a chance. So that's the first step. Make sure that your job is actually a management consultant role. Secondly, when applying for a TN visa, the TN visa falls under the United States, Canada, and Mexico agreement. So the agreement between those three countries is that they trust the academic credentials from those countries. So if you have a bachelor's degree from Mexico or Canada, it's considered valid when you're applying for a TN visa to work for a U.S. employer. But if you have an MBA from India, that's not part of the deal. So if you're applying for a TN visa at the Canadian border and you present your MBA degree, the CBP officer is going to have the attitude, well, this is not part of the agreement. Our agreement is to recognize credentials from Canada and Mexico, not India. So you need to make sure that your academic credentials are equivalent to a US equivalent. Next, you need to make sure that you properly present the documentation that you actually are approved. So it seems like here that the support letter provided by the employers was deemed inept. I'm assuming you didn't work with a lawyer. So when you're applying for a TN visa, the letter should have a certain format. And the format needs to make it clear how you are qualified for the TN category. So depending on how the letter was drafted, that would have caused a lot of problems. So those are the three overall steps. Make sure that your job is actually a management consulting job. Make sure that your degrees are equivalent to a US equivalent. And then also make sure that your documentation is properly presented so it's clear that you are qualified for the visa. So that may be difficult. The TN visa management consulting category is one of the most challenging and highly scrutinized categories there is. So it's highly recommended that you work with a lawyer when pursuing a TN visa and management consultant. So that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe, and that's it.